Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is on a two-day visit in Kenya for the opening of a border post between Kenya and Ethiopia. It is his first international tour since he announced the completion of a military operation in northern region of the country against the Tigray People's Liberation Front. For more on this, we cross to our East Africa correspondent, Sarah Kimani. A very good afternoon to you, Sarah. As always, a pleasure to see you. Just as a start, this visit is expected to sort of strengthen bilateral trade relations between the two East African nations as they continue to enjoy each other's support. But one can't help but think or assume that this might also have something to do with the Tigray region. And I wonder whether the Prime Minister, Abiy Ahmed, is perhaps seeking further support or maybe sympathy from the President of Kenya as he embarks on this two-day trip. What do you have for us? And also on the back of that, his itinerary really for these 2 days.
Well, he arrived this morning in the country. And he came, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed arrived in Kenya this morning. Now, he did not come to Nairobi, but went directly to Moyale, which is in the border of Ethiopia and Kenya. And now, the visit concentrated on infrastructure development. In Moyale, they opened, together with his host, Uhuru Kenyatta, the Moyale one-stop border point. Now, this is a place where it will be easier for Kenyans and Ethiopians to cross between their borders easily through customs and be able to do trade. Now, they said this is part of enhancing trade between the two countries. They also said this is in preparation of the implementation of the African Free Continental Trade Agreement. He steered clear of the Tigray conflict. However, the two leaders spoke in general about security issues in the region and especially between Ethiopia and Kenya.
I wonder, though, as you say, that the two leaders have not spoken about it, but is there talk about it in general in Kenya when we're talking about the Tigray region and, of course, the Prime Minister being in the country? I mean, a lot has happened, Sarah, in the last 24 hours. Reports saying that Ethiopian forces have shot at and detained UN staffers. A lot of rebuking of that by top officials of the UN. And then, of course, Ethiopia rejecting independent probes into the Tigray conflict. This cannot be something that's sort of seen as, the elephant in the room or swept under the carpet. It's certainly something that needs to be discussed. And if it's not being discussed by the two leaders, perhaps then it's being discussed outside of that. Or is there not much talk about it in Kenya, Sarah?
Yes, there is talk and the media has been covering it. What they did when they spoke about security issues, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed says he will work hand in hand with the Kenyan president and the Kenyan government to get rid of any militants or any militant groups that may try to interfere with the peace between the two countries. And he mentioned the Somali-based Al-Shabaab militant group. He also mentioned a militant group that operates between the Kenya and the Ethiopian border called the OLF. There was no mention of the Tigray.
All right, we seem to have lost Sarah Kimani, unfortunately. I'm not sure what happened. Technology not being on our side then this afternoon, but we'll see if we can catch up with her at a later stage. Let's stay there. All right, I believe that Sarah is back. Sarah, please continue where you left off. We're certainly talking about the media reports into the Tigray region. Apologies for that.
Yes, indeed. And they were also saying that the two leaders said that they will be dealing with the militant groups operating whether inside their countries or in the neighboring countries. They spoke specifically about the Al-Shabaab militant group and also the OLF, the Oromo Liberation Front, which operates between Ethiopia and Kenya. There was no mention of the Tigray conflict, but they also spoke generally about peace inside their countries and their commitment to see to it that there is peace inside their countries. Both Kenya and Ethiopia are battling the Al-Shabaab militant group inside Somalia. Now, the reason probably why he kept off the Tigray conflict is because any attempts at mediating between Ethiopia and the TPLF has been rebuffed by Abiy himself. Indeed, when he sent the Deputy Prime Minister here, President Kenyatta was quick to say there is need for them to sit on the dialogue table, but Abiy Ahmed has insisted that this is not an issue that should be handled by outsiders, that they are ready to handle it themselves inside the country.
And just in closing, Sarah, before we say goodbye to each other, talk to us about this vigil that was held by doctors in Kenya in honor of their fallen colleague. Perhaps also if you can give us the back story for that, in case our viewers are not aware.
Indeed, I'm standing outside the Ministry of Health offices where the doctors are still here. Now, these are young doctors. Most of them recently graduated from the university. And the reason they are here is because they are protesting against the death of one of their own, Dr. Mogusu. He was only 28 years old. He died this week. And before his death, he succumbed to COVID-19 related complications. Now, before he died, he had appealed to his colleagues. If you're not being paid, if you're not being provided protective equipment and you're on the front line, you need to quit. And so these doctors are here to demand that the Kenyan government continues to provide them with, or provides them with, personal protective equipment. Indeed, they're saying within 10 days, if they're not provided with PPEs, if they're not paid their salaries, then they will be quitting and they will not be coming back to the wards. Dr. Mogusu had not been paid for 5 months, and he's not the only one. All the doctors under the Universal Health Care Coverage, a program by the Kenyan government, who are working in the front line in the fight against COVID-19, have not been paid. And these grievances that they have been passing on several times. And they're also saying that they do not have a medical cover. Indeed, on his Twitter handle, Dr. Mogusu had started trying to raise funds to be able to offset his medical bill. So these are just some of the grievances that they are airing here. We're expecting a few minutes that the senior doctors, now their seniors, will be joining them for an all-night candle vigil, and we will be here to cover that also to see how it goes.
All right, Sarah Kimani, thank you very much for that update.